friends, welcome back. I'm Angela Imagination, Mrs. Imagination. You can call me either one. I'm so glad you are here to see the activities that I have planned for Don't Forget to Remember by Ellie Holcomb. Oh, it was such a lovely book, and I enjoyed reading it to you so much. I hope you enjoyed listening to it and looking at the beautiful illustrations. Now, what activities shall we do for Don't Forget to Remember? Well, you know where I like to start. With the writer's notebook, of course. You should have one by now so that you can use the things that we put in here to help you become an even better writer than you already are. Oh yes, an even better writer. So what are we going to do with our writer's notebook this day? You know, in Ellie Holcomb's book, Don't Forget to Remember, she used something that we've discussed before. She used repetition. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to make a page in my writer's notebook called repetition. Do you remember what repetition means? When we had it before in a book, I had you say it over and over. Repetition, 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 repetition. Do you know why? Repetition means repeating, and we do that a lot anyway in our lives. Well, if you noticed, Ellie Holcomb repeated some of the same thoughts. She repeated some of the same thoughts. Okay, I'm going to put thoughts because we can repeat a thought. She repeated some of the same words. So, when you use repetition in a story or a book, you can repeat a thought, and a thought is just, it's more than something that's in your mind, but it's what you want to share. It's the idea you want to share. And the thought that Ellie kept repeating is, I don't want you to forget. Don't forget that. Remember this. And she repeated some words. She repeated the words, forget. Don't forget, that's a phrase. Oh, phrase is not just a word. A word like remember, but a phrase is don't forget to remember. She used that several times, not just as the title. Repetition can be used very effectively in writing in lots of ways. Thoughts, words, phrases, even some actions. We didn't see that in this book, but there are some books where a particular action is repeated throughout the book. And there are some books that a particular character shows up page after page, but may not have anything to do with the telling of the story. That's fun. We'll look for that sometime. All these are ways that you can use repetition. I wonder what I could repeat. I keep talking about how I want to write a story about a chef who likes to cook, obviously, and maybe he has a mouse. Maybe I could repeat some things that the mouse says as she takes the cheese. I could. That's one way I could use repetition. Interesting. Well, let's put our writer's notebook away for a moment and let's think one of the items that was in my basket was this string right here that I put on my finger. And I told you that sometimes people in the past would tie a string around their finger to help them remember something very important. It usually just wasn't, you need to pick up butter at the grocery store. It was something very important that had happened to them or that had happened to someone else. And that was one way that they could use to remember. I wondered if you could help me think of other ways that we remember. Ways we remember. You know, a long time ago, they didn't have cell phones, but our cell phones give us a lot of ways that we can remember. Do you know that Mrs. Imagination sometimes sends myself a text? A self-text. Well, before cell phones were invented, people would just write it down. Maybe make a list. Or just write. I'm going to tell you a secret about Mrs. Imagination when I was growing up. When I was a teenager, if I wanted to remember something while I was at school, I would write it on my hand. I'm not talking about answers to a question. I was talking about maybe somebody's phone number or something else I wanted to remember to do or a place I wanted to go. I would write it on my hand with a pen because a pencil won't write on your hand. People don't do that much anymore, thank goodness. But yes, we can always make a list. I have grocery list, I have things to do list. Do you know another way to remember? It's something we just talked about. Let's see, I'm going to draw a line right here. Repetition. So we can remember something by repeating it over and over and over. So if I wanted to remember a new friend's name, and maybe her name was Amanda, I could say, oh, Amanda, 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 Amanda. I might rhyme it with something. Amanda can't stand a. Amanda can't stand a. That's kind of funny. Oh, or even an alphabet. I can remember Amanda. Amanda starts with an A. Amanda. A, Amanda. A, Amanda. There's lots of ways we can remember. What about, I'm going to tell you, one of the best ways to remember something, especially if it's something that has happened to you. Maybe you woke up and you remembered a dream. If you don't tell somebody your dream, you may forget it. So a lot of times, if we tell someone, I met a new friend named Amanda. Amanda starts with an A. Because you say it aloud, it will help you remember. The last way I want to tell you today to remember something is through movement. Oh, I know that in sign language, the letter A looks like this, like a fist with the thumb up. A, Amanda, 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 Amanda. I might want to, Amanda, 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 Amanda. 3 claps. Some kind of movement. If she had If her name was Amanda Harp, maybe I could do that, harp, like I'm playing a harp. Amanda Harp. Just funny ways that will help you with your memory. As we get older, oh my, we have trouble remembering. You probably don't have nearly as much trouble as Mrs. Imagination does. Well, those are some fun ways to help us remember. But our picture book was about how creation helps us remember about God. So what if, for our third activity, you took a book outside that had drawing pages. I'm looking for my pencil. There it is. And you just sat outside. First of all, you just sat outside and just looked around. Quietly looking. Looking up, looking down, looking all around. Look at God's creation. And then, listen. Listen to God's creation. You may hear the birds singing. You may hear the wind blowing through the leaves and making the leaves make that beautiful sound. You may be near water. There are all kinds of things in creation that we can listen to. And then, finally, you could draw what you see. Maybe you see a nice, fluffy cloud floating by. What could that tell you about God? Could it tell you that He's up high, watching you? If the cloud turned dark, what could that tell you? Could it tell you that even when it rains, even when it starts to get dark, God helps us? This is a very simple activity. Just take your pencil or your crayons outside and draw creation. And think. Ask yourself some questions. What is God telling me with this tree? You know, a tree is a home to lots of animals. Maybe God is saying, you'll always have a home. You have the earth as your home, and you have a house or an apartment or a trailer, a tent. Wow, there are all kinds of things, and I bet you could make some beautiful drawings that other people would want to look at. So, I hope you have enjoyed these activities today. They're pretty simple. I've had such a delightful time sharing them with you, and it's all because of a picture book. I look forward to your next visit. Until then, see ya.